Did you ever have a task that you thought would only take you a few minutes and you ended up going down a rabbit hole and it took you much longer to complete than you expected? Well, in today's video, that is exactly what happened. My 15-minute pantry wipe down took me much longer than expected. Let's take a look. My pantry shelves really got at 6s and 7s while I was under the weather. And then when I was trying to get back on track to step back into my housekeeping routine, resetting the pantry just was not a priority. I had more important things to focus on. We were just shoving things in wherever they'd fit. And with these deep, old-fashioned shelves, it got crazy in there. I couldn't find anything, and the chaos was driving me crazy. So, since we were in Zone 2, I chose a pantry reset for this week's set of 15-minute tasks. However, I only plan to use 2 units of time on the pantry and use the other 2 units of time for something else. The first thing I had to do was clear everything out. I'm showing off my olive oil from the Texas Hill Country. I have a friend who lives out there, so I like having a few of the local products. That friend is Mary from Mary's Nest. See those bottles of strawberry vinegar? I made those after watching one of Mary's videos. This video is brought to you by Aprondiva. Pretty and practical, we believe that an apron can be a homemaker's best accessory. Visit us at www.aprondiva.com. One thing you'll notice is how I use can racks, corner racks, and tiered shelves to take advantage of vertical space. I'll use a vinegar cleaner initially, then follow up with a solution of bay oil and water. I always find something sticky when I'm wiping out the pantry. You would think with just 2 adults living here, that wouldn't be the case. What's it like in your house? Are you always finding stickiness somewhere, sticky little messes and spills in your pantry? Tell me in the comments below. Now it's time to wipe the shelves down with the bay oil solution. I just put a few drops of bay oil in warm water and wipe it on the shelves. It smells good to me, but the bugs don't like it. I got the bay oil and the bay leaves on Amazon. And the bay leaf, bugs don't like the smell. So I always drop a few bay leaves on my pantry shelves after I've cleaned them. Those plastic containers, they are empty now, but I usually have instant potato flakes in one of them and self-rising cornmeal in the other. I keep a piece of the instructions from the boxes inside the container so I know what it is and how to make it up. And the nice thing about these containers is that they are stackable. Again, I am maximizing my vertical space. So day one is done, but it certainly took longer than 15 minutes. I'll pick up where I left off tomorrow for day two. So yesterday I worked on this side of the cabinet, and as you can see, it looks pretty darn good. And the hubby and I were in and out of it yesterday. We've been in and out of it this morning, and things are still ship-shape. And the key to that is that every day when I'm in the kitchen, I put things back where they belong. Because here's what I figured out. If I don't put things back where they belong on an everyday basis, the cabinet can quickly get its 6s and 7s. And my husband, when he puts things away, he will stick it in whatever empty space is there. So whereas I have the peanut butter sitting back here, because I think that's a nice little place to tuck it, when he gets the peanut butter out, when he gets ready to put it back, he'll sit it right there. He might sit it right there. He'll just sit it in the cabinet. And I know that. So what I'm trying to remind myself to do is to not be really picky about little things like that. It's back in the cabinet where it belongs, and I can set it into a particular spot that I want it in. So now today's task is to get this side of the cabinet done. And I'm thinking it may take 30 minutes for this side as well. And I tell you what, it's just gotten to a point where I just couldn't find anything. And as you guys know, I've been off my square for a while when I had my surgery, and then my husband took care of everything while I was down, and I appreciate his efforts, and I'm not going to complain that things aren't exactly where I might prefer them to be. So now that I am trying to get back on track, I'll get things where they belong. I've got a lot of empty canning jars in here. I think I probably just stuck them in there because there wasn't space in my regular cabinet rather than putting them where they belong. I got the wash going. You can hear it in the background. I did get that started first thing. Some of these jars are empty. And then some are empty and they're stored in there until I get ready to put something in them. I'll get these old bay leaves out and then wipe the shelf down. You'll notice that I keep many of my pantry staples in plastic or glass containers. These help to reduce the chances of pantry moths getting into things. And I will admit, sometimes I have pantry envy when I see the walk-in pantries that some of my friends have. But I've learned to make the best use of what I have, but that requires me to stay on top of it and keep the pantry decluttered and organized. This is where I keep the herbs that I dry, as well as jars of beans and rice. My husband built this shelf in here for me. It's one of the places where I keep some of my preps. If you're concerned about possible food shortages for your family related to rising food prices, natural disasters, or for whatever reason, I've got a video that tells you how to put together a 3-month food supply for your family. I will link it in the iCard above, as well as put it in the description box below. Label everything. You think you'll remember what's what, but a few months later, you'll be trying to figure out what you put in those jars. So yeah, label everything. So I got these two shelves all taken care of, and I will admit it took me 30 minutes to do that. Partly because I was looking at some of the spices, combining some of the jars, and just kind of seeing what was what. And I do have some jars in the sink that I'm going to wash and then put them where they need to go. But I'm not going to put those empty jars back here in the pantry because it just takes up too much space. So right now, this is where we are. I'll work on the two bottom shelves tomorrow. Now, to my homemakers out there, if you are feeling overwhelmed and unsure as to how to tame the chaos in your house, and you want some individual help, some individual coaching to help you on your homemaking journey, I've opened up some additional slots on my calendar so that I can assist you with that. I'll put the link to my Patreon in the description box below, and you'll want to choose either the Bella or the Novia tier, and be sure to leave your phone number and I can call you and we can set up a date and a time that works out best for you. So it's the next day, and now these two shelves are done, the shelves over here are done. Now I've got to address these two shelves here, and I also plan to address this space underneath the shelves down here on the floor. I've got a little shelf under there. So let's get that started. So I brushed it off with my microfiber cloth because there's really no crumbs on it, and then I dabbed it with my bay oil solution. So I'm going to drop the bay leaves into my baskets when I put the baskets back in there. So I can let that dry a little bit while I'm working on the baskets. So while I work on this, I'm going to listen to a Nora Roberts story called Night Work on my Kindle. This is my Kindle Fire HD. And just so you know, I have different things in the different baskets. For example, this particular basket here is the one that I keep boxed foods in. So that could be foods that are in boxes, bags, different things like that. Or it could be things like this rice. These Ziplocs are supposed to be in another basket. And then things like my boxes of taco shells, they might be in there. This one is for canned goods, and I will put various canned goods down in here, and as you can see, it's got a bunch of stuff in here that's not canned goods. And this is one that is supposed to be for storage bags. And here's the lid to a stock pot. And here's the lid to a stock pot. Here's a tea canister, and there's some boxed foods and things that don't belong in there. So let me get all these things out and get them sorted. And I will get my Kindle turned on.
Chapter 10.
And there we go. So now this side of the cabinet is all done. So we got this shelf organized, that shelf, those. And I even got this area down here all sorted out. I got those extra appliances there. I don't have anywhere else to put them, so they live right there. And this side is done. I finally got the pantry cleaned out. It took much longer than I anticipated, and to be honest, it turned into a project. But I feel good that I got it all done. And next time I work in the pantry, it won't take me as long to sort things out. Now let's talk about seasonal cleaning. One of the things that I do seasonally is wipe down my pantry shelves with bay oil solution and then drop fresh bay leaves on the shelves. And it doesn't mean that I don't wipe the shelves out if there's a spill or something like that throughout the year, because of course I do. But definitely when the seasons change, I know that I'm going to do a complete refresh of the pantry by wiping down those shelves with the bay oil and putting in those fresh leaves, because I don't want to get pantry moths in my pantry. I had that happen once and I had to throw away everything that was in boxes, so I really don't want that to happen again. I'll also take this time to toss any expired items or products that I just know we are not going to use. The other thing that I want to mention is that whenever you begin a task, you must do as Fly Lady Cat says, and that is to finish the process. So if you're decluttering an area, that means you're either going to give away, put away, or throw away the items that you take out of that space. So in regards to the pantry, I tossed the items that were expired or things that I knew we weren't going to use. However, when I worked on those half-gallon jars, I wanted to wash them up, so I put them in the sink. Well, by the time I got done with that part of the pantry, I was so tired, I just left them in the sink and I didn't finish the process. That meant the next morning when I came downstairs and came into the kitchen, I had to clean up the remains of yesterday or the day before. I had to wash those half-gallon jars up, get them put away before I could get started with the tasks for that day. That was not a good feeling. So please, whenever you start a task, be sure to set aside the time and the energy to finish the process. Now, if you really want to know what my secret weapon is when it comes to keeping my house neat and organized, watch this video next. It's all about how I use routines to stay on top of things.